Let the nation learn from what is happening, not just as data, O Lord, but as nutrition for what we are supposed to be doing in 2026. Bless us, O Lord, and bless this conference. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Good morning, members of the media, listening and viewing public. I am Sarah Lloyd, Acting Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs. Permanent Secretary Joanne Commodore is presently on vacation. I wish to formally acknowledge those who are seated: the Honorable Minister for National Security and Legal Affairs, Mr. Reverend Blackmore, Mrs. Candia Carrot Judge, Chief Magistrate, Mr. Lincoln Corbett, Chief of Police, Mr. Jeffrey Edmond, Superintendent of Prisons, Mr. Mackelson Farrell, Director of Financial Intelligence Unit, Ms. Vincia Auguste Francois, Registrar of Titles. I would also like to acknowledge other heads of division present here, their deputies, members of the press, members of the public who are tuned in. I am pleased to welcome you to the end of year and opening of year press conference of the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs. This press conference is part of the ministry's ongoing commitment to keeping the public informed. The Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs carries a broad and critically important mandate within government. Our responsibilities include ensuring public safety, protecting life and property, improving access to justice, providing legal representation to the state, and delivering essential services to the people of Dominica. The past year has been an especially active and eventful one. Despite challenges, we worked together, collaborated across divisions, and remained focused on strengthening the ministry and advancing our national responsibilities. All divisional heads are present here today and will be available for questions at the end. However, today, presentations will be made from 5 divisions. These are the Magistrate Court, the Dominica State Prison, the Financial Intelligence Unit, the Dominica Police Force, and the Registry of Titles. It is our intention to continue providing similar information updates throughout the year, so that the public remains informed about the work being carried out across all divisions and departments of the ministry. We will also like to proceed with we will now proceed with today's presentations. But before we do that, I would like to invite the Honorable Raymond Blackmore, Minister for National Security, to deliver the opening remarks.
Good morning, thank you very much. I'm Acting Permanent Secretary. Let me recognize the other members of the head table and to all the various heads of the various departments. Thank you very much for your presence and your diligence over the year 2025. As we seek again to keep the public informed of the activities of the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs for the year ending 2025. And let me firstly, before I proceed with my brief opening remarks, to recognize the Commissioner of Police and the Deputy Commissioner of Police. Can I ask both of you to stand up, please, if you don't mind? That's what to do. Mr. Corbett. I want us to put our hands together for the flag of the Chief of Police and Deputy Chief of Police. I wish them well, and I want to say to them that that is a demonstration and manifestation of the high level of confidence that the Prime Minister has reposed in both of you, and therefore I, as the Minister, am confident that you will continue to demonstrate that there was seriousness and diligence in the discharge of your function as Chief and Deputy Chief, respectively. Again, congratulations, and may the good Lord continue to bless you guys, because only a few people will sign up to do this tremendous work that you're tasked to do. I also want to recognize the leadership that have been demonstrated thus far by all heads of the various departments, and the support that are given to the ministry and the government and the minister, because as I've said before, it's an enterprise, and an enterprise that requires the participation and assertiveness of every head of department, and the minister by himself cannot discharge the mandate of the ministry. And we call on you again for the year 2026 to continue to demonstrate that level of seriousness and diligence that you have shown over the years. As you heard from the Acting Permanent Secretary, let me also pause to wish the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Joan Commodore, all the best. She's currently on vacation leave, and she has been very much steadfast in providing the support to the minister and the ministry in a whole. So we wish her well. Let me just say further, as I start, I want to start by recognizing the need for all of us, from a societal standpoint, to take seriously the need for us to work together to deal with the issue of crime in this country. I'm happy to report that for the year ending 2025, that we have seen a continuation of a decline in the other areas of serious crimes. And I want us to put hands together to the Dominican Republic and also the members of the police force for demonstrating that, notwithstanding the challenges that we're confronted with insofar as, let us get it right, insofar as gun crime is concerned. And that is something we have to deal with and tackle. We are frontally, but the country, in all the other major areas of crime, whether it's burglaries, rape, taking convenience, just name it, we have seen historic, significant lows. To the extent to which, with us trying to draw reference to the last program we had on the British Radio last week Thursday, where the Deputy Chief of Police made reference to the fact that we have seen, in some cases, 300% decline in some of the major areas of crime, namely burglaries, from the 90s to now. And I think that in itself speaks of the maturity of this country, that the country is emerging. And it's for us to also appreciate the fact that if we are able to keep the other areas, insofar as crime is concerned, at this historic low, so too we can confront this dangerous crime. I use the word dangerous. Gun violence causes death, causes loss of life. And as we proceed into 2026, the government will continue to provide the police with all the requisite support to confront this potential deadly phenomenon insofar as our society is concerned. Let me just say that we have invested tremendously in the police force in ensuring that insofar as the human resource component is concerned, that we have provided, just in the recent past, support to the police insofar as the investigation of gun crimes are concerned, gang-related activities, and also in the area of forensic, to analyze all the pieces of information and evidence. We currently have been able to sort and obtain the services of personnel with expertise in those areas that I just referenced, who are currently working with the police in Dominica. And the intention, let me just say, what you see happening in some of the communities, in terms of gun violence, which have resulted in the death, sadly, of young people, young men, is a predicate to a broader societal problem. And the reason why I'm saying that, the level of impunity sometimes you see in the commission of this crime, almost to an extent to which folks commit this kind of crime, like they cannot be found, they cannot be detected, they cannot be apprehended. That is so. I'm going to make it fundamentally clear, because I'm tired with that degree of hypocrisy in this country. From all levels. I'm absolutely fed up with that degree of hypocrisy. And I tell you why I'm saying that. Those manifestations that we're seeing in the various communities, and the code of silence we have in some cases, is because members of the community, people within the system, within the public service system and the private sector, are involved in the facilitation of those persons, or people, sorry, who are involved in gun violence and the importation of illegal firearms in this country. And as a result of that, therefore, the government has seen it fit to invest in the police force and to provide the police with all the requisite tools that are required to ensure that everyone who is involved in the facilitation of those folks who go out there to sadly take the life of a brother, that they can be identified and brought to justice. Let us make it fundamentally clear. So I'm happy to have heard from the Commissioner of Police in one of our programs last week that no stone will be left unturned. So, my dear friends, that's police headquarters, eh? So sometimes we have those activities happening there. So it's important for us to take this matter very seriously. We have seen also in the recent past the investment by the government in significant pieces of equipment, some of which I'll not get into detail. And insofar as gun crime is concerned, because dealing with the issue of illegal firearms is one element of the puzzle. But you also have a situation whereby the people who are legal license holders of firearms, they too have to be scrutinized. Because there's evidence of instances whereby people who were granted firearm licenses were involved in privately selling firearms to third parties. That is not permissible under the law. We have been able to get the support for the instrumentality of Impacts CARICOM, where we have been able to procure a specialized chamber which will provide the police with the ability to fire every firearm, not only those that are suspected to have been used in the commission of crime, so they can capture the ballistic readings of these firearms. Every holder of a licensed firearm in this country, therefore, the firearms will be fired by the police, and there will be a registry kept by the police with the ballistic reading of every firearm going forward. We have to do these things to ensure that at all angles, because there are people with licensed firearms who are using the firearms to do unlawful things. And therefore, no stone will be left unturned in that process. And we're also looking at the law to create a certain level of more transparency as obtained in other countries like in Jamaica, where there is a licensing authority. And that licensing authority is chaired by a retired judge, and the Commissioner of Police recommends to that authority, and then that authority recommends to the Minister for the issuing of gun licenses. There have to be transparency in the process, and going forward, we have to do that. Why? And there must be good reason why somebody who is not a police officer, you're not a soldier, you're not a high-risk person, what are you doing with a firearm in the first place? So that culture of firearm in this country has to be addressed from all angles, from all fronts. there is no guaranteed right under the Constitution to own a firearm. This is a peaceful country, and we have to continue to demonstrate by way of our deeds that Dominica is indeed peaceful and Dominicans are peaceful people. So we have been able to ensure that 23 police officers have been trained in the science of retrieving serial numbers. I'm not going into detail, that is for the chief to do. And so far, the police have been very successful in being able to trace firearms that were intercepted at the port and in other respects, and actually trace the origin, and I leave it there. We are better able now to monitor our waters, and we have installed this equipment with tremendous capabilities, and the same will be done enough to ensure that our waters on our bays can be properly monitored, that the police can know at all times every ship, every vessel that's on our water, north and south, and I think we have to ensure that as a government we continue to provide the security and the safety of this country. And I want to take this opportunity to thank our partners, regionally and internationally working with us, and of course the support that the ministry always gets from the Prime Minister, the Cabinet, and the Ministry of Finance, because it cannot be done without the support. I also want to take this on record, my commendation to the head of the prisons. I want to stand also. Mr. Edmond, stand. Mr. Jeffrey Edmond is a serious, no-nonsense individual. And sometimes when you're serious and you have this no-nonsense approach, a lot of people say, I don't like Mr. And then, if everybody likes you, especially men, if every man likes a man, you have a problem. You get my point. So, and I think that the level of seriousness that he has brought to the leadership of the prison is commendable. And Mr. Edmond, you and I crash now and again. That's part of my mantra, crashing. But I must say that I am very much proud of the leadership that you have provided to the prisons. And as we move into 2026, the focus of the ministry will be placing emphasis on rehabilitation. Rehabilitation. The correctional aspect of the prison has to be given prominence, and that is what we're going to be doing. I'm happy that we have seen focus being placed on a number of vocational programs at the prisons, and I'm proud, and that's something I've been fighting for, that the farm project is emerging, Mr. Edmond, and folks at the inmates at the prisons are being taught animal husbandry and other aspects of farming. And so when they leave the prison setting, they can be good farmers. And young folks up there are given a second chance to rewrite the CXC subjects. And we have done programs in candle and soap making. The other aspect of packaging is to follow. And I'm saying this is something that we have to be proud of as a small island state. What we have done, we have already done a design with a costing of almost $6 million to build a rehabilitation center at the prisons. It will be like a training school at the prisons. So when our young men, I use the word men because we only have 2 female inmates at the prisons. When our young men leave the prison setting, they can leave with a skill. Let me just say it for emphasis. There are some folks, by virtue of the seriousness of the crime, should be at all times in the maximum block, not maximum security block. If you interfere, if an underage child and convicted, you should face the music. If you take somebody's life and it's premeditated, you should face the music. If you're involved in the trafficking of cocaine to kill and disturb the minds of our young people, and you're convicted, you should be there for a while under maximum security. But the majority of our young folks deserve a second chance, and they're no threat to society. We have to ensure that when they leave the prison setting, they can contribute to our mainstream society and not inclined to come back. I want to place on the screen Mr. Stout. Thank you very much, Mr. Buddha Stout, who's providing technical support to the ministry. And very quiet guy, but very skillful. I want the cameras to shift to the design of what the ministry will be pushing in 2026 and beyond at the state prison. I will seek to build a rehabilitation center. And please don't accuse me for wanting to build a hotel at the prisons, but it's to ensure that our young men can be better when they leave the prison setting. And that's the mantra of the Dominican Labour Party, to treat everybody as human beings. And I want to just refer to the last visit of DBS Radio at the prisons. And I will get a number of messages said about we're giving the prisoners too much good food. I'm going to believe that if you're convicted for a crime, that you must face the time. But every prisoner has rights. And the law stipulates the quantum of meat, cheese that you must give to every prisoner. And the law also stipulates that the minister must approve of the menu. That's what the law says. And as long as I serve as a minister, and I can say as long as the Labour Party remains in office, that no prisoner will be left unfed and given rice with worms to eat, the human beings. So what is the big deal with a prisoner eating an apple during Christmas time or pie? I don't eat macaroni and cheese, but I get macaroni and cheese for the Christmas time. That demonstrates the humanity and the charity of the leadership of this country. And yes, we must ensure that prisoners serve the time. If you commit murder, rape, incest, you must be in maximum security and dealt with. But at the end of the day, we must never set aside the humanity within us, and to ensure that even prisoners themselves have rights. And the right to be fed, to me, is something that should not be underestimated. So, Mr. Edmond, kudos to you. We have seen that we have made some investment at the prison. I can recall having a press conference and we gave the commitment that we're going to do various things at the prison. There was an issue of security, that we had to invest significantly in the installation of first-class modern AI cameras. And it cost the state $205,000. And those cameras are now installed at the prisons to ensure that every parameter within the prison can be properly secured, and to capture every illicit entry into the prisons. We also spent a significant amount of money, I think it's $170,000 thereabout, to install scanners, which means every bag entering the prisons will be scanned. Every person entering the prison will have to walk through a scanner. And I must say, I'm immensely touched by the fact that the prison officers see it as security for them. And they are not making a beef over they having to walk into a scanner to come to work, because they realize and recognize, therefore, it is for the safety. And that is something I believe we have to be replicated in order serious installation within the government system, that people, everybody entering this important installation should go through a walk-through scanner, and the back should be checked, because that culture of guns, etc., is something that have to be taken seriously in the country. I want to turn quickly to the registry of titles. And the government actually established that position. And it was done for the precise reason of ensuring that issues surrounding land titles and other attendant issues could be given prominence and specialization. And I must say that Miss Ogis, or Mrs. Swansford, sorry, my apologies, have provided a very quiet personality, but she gets the work done. And she'll speak later to the issue of how we have done in terms of dealing with the issue of backlog, etc. One of the things that I believe that we will be implementing in the new is to create a redundant system in terms of ensuring that records can be properly kept and stored. So we have invested and paid for a scanner, $170,000 for this scanner. Things that are cheap, to ensure that the records, the documents can be also stored electronically. And if we were to have a fire or something, or hurricane, we have a certain degree of redundancy insofar as our record keeping is concerned. So we are putting in place an efficient and modern system of record management within the registry. We already have the human resource component stationed at the registry to do so. I want to close before the other people make the presentation by also recognizing the leadership of the Chief Magistrate. One of the things that we had to do within the ministry was to put systems in place for the better administration of justice in this country. And because most of the matters are disposed before the magistrate court, because they are summary matters, we have to put emphasis to ensure that there are systems in place to make the system more efficient. And so we now have a situation where we have the full complement of magistrates. We have 6 independent courts in Roseau that can operate and will be operating independently. I've been advised that we need 28 chairs for the 6th court to be functional. Chief Magistrate, you have your 28 chairs, you know? And my role there is for solution, not for complaints. And I have given instruction, if we can't get the 28 chairs in Dominica, I will get, there's no connection, and then can get the chairs in Barbados, etc., have it put on a plane, and send to Dominica the next day. You can make one. But the 6 courts in Roseau have to be fully functional. There's one thing to talk about, we have 8 magistrates, but the 8 magistrates, all of them have to work. And the issue of strategy, Chief Magistrate, the issue of having a case manager who's a trained lawyer, who will be commencing the case management duty, and she will be sitting also this month, I think is commendable. And as we proceed towards the family court, Mr. Stopp is there. We have seen that there are some adjustments that can be made downstairs, and to ensure that because talking about the family court is one thing, but you have to have the attendant, infrastructure both in terms of human resource and office space. You have, for one, you have to have your own counselor, resident in the court, and all those things will be provided. And I'm happy that one magistrate will be fully assigned to deal with family matters, and that's the first step towards moving towards a fully implemented family court. So for that, I want to commend you. I see the Director of Public Prosecution there. She's not there, you can ask a question. But at the last assizes, she had almost 99% success in actually getting convictions. And sometimes we celebrate when 2 matters go down, but when there was a situation whereby the state was successful, Mr. Carlyle, out of 15 or 14 matters, I think 12, if I'm not mistaken, I'm saying that demonstrates that the state is moving towards ensuring that continued prominence is given to the whole issue of the administration of justice. Night court has been introduced, and I'm happy that the Bar Association is fully on board. I've been to the night court several times. I've seen lawyers who were against it. They are well dressed in a suit, representing, and they were surprised to have seen me there. But I'm happy that they're attending the court. And I must say, it makes sense to engage And I'm in personal record because the president of the Bar Association, we have about than what he did. I have a role to play, I have a role to play. But I must say that we have been having very cordial, respectful meetings, and a lot of people, a number of people believe that Mr. Rayburn does not listen. That's not true at all. And they place on the table a number of issues, which I believe, as I said to the Minister Secretary and others, that I believe that those recommendations were reasonable, and that we should proceed to address this recommendation. And have done that, everybody is happy. And I think that in itself, you cannot remain obstinate on a position. And I believe there has to be continued dialogue and compromise. But there has to be the fundamental understanding that the state has a role to play, and sometimes the state has to do what the state has to do. So thank you very much, everyone, and may the good Lord continue to bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Blackmore, for setting the context and tone for today's engagement. It is my pleasure to invite Mrs. Candia Carragher, Chief Magistrate, to deliver her presentation.
The Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Legal Affairs. Master of Ceremonies, Ms. Ira Lloyd, the Acting Permanent Secretary. Mr. Wayne Later, Chief Fire Officer, Acting. Mr. Jeffrey Edmonds, Superintendent of Prisons. Mr. Malcolm Farrell, Director of Financial Intelligence Unit. Mr. Lincoln Corbett, Chief of Police. Mrs. Vincia Ogis Francois, Registrar of Titles, other members of the Commonwealth of Dominican Police Force, other heads of departments, and members of the media. Good morning to everyone. It is my pleasure to report to you on the operations of the Magistrates Court for the year 2025. My crave your indulgence, as a lot of you have already said at the opening of the law year 2025, but I will repeat for the purposes of this exercise. Magistrates Court staffing. In August of 2025, Magistrate Paul Williams resigned to take up an appointment in a sister jurisdiction. Ms. Williams had worked with the court for the past 9 years. I wish to place on record my thanks to Ms. Williams for her years of service to the Commonwealth of Dominica, and wish her well in her new assignments. It is a pleasure, however, to report that during the latter period of 2025, 3 new magistrates were added to the Dominican Magistrates Court. Ms. Marilyn Pierre took her oath of office in October. Ms. Pierre was previously attached to the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and brings with her a wealth of experience in criminal law. She has been assigned primarily to deal with criminal matters. Ms. Felisa Morvan took her oath in November. Ms. Morvan joins us from the Attorney General's chambers and will preside over the case management hearings, civil, and coroner's court hearings, in addition to other case types. Ms. Kimala Alfred took her oath in December. Ms. Alfred was previously attached to the Legal Aid Clinic. Ms. Alfred will preside predominantly over family court and criminal matters. Their addition is a major step toward improving the court's efficiency and the effective management of cases, where the outcome is the marked reduction of case backlog through the timely disposition of matters. The total number of magistrates, including myself, now stands at 8, and this represents a full complement for the Commonwealth of Dominica. We are pleased because, as Minister alluded to earlier, it's been a while since we had a full complement. We are grateful. Equipment and modernization. In 2025, under the United Nations Development Program, Case Justice Project, 14 laptops and printers were received. The machines and accessories have since been installed. I believe when I spoke earlier this week, I spoke of the Digital Liberty recording systems and indicated that they would be installed next week. But we had some advance movement, and the members of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, as they are presently on island, they have installed the Liberty system. So we are awaiting some training, and we will begin to utilize that system very, very soon. It is expected that this will reduce the need for magistrates to write everything that is being said at court, thus saving tremendous judicial time. Our thanks to the United Nations Development Program for their continued support, and we look forward to future collaborations. Training workshops. In July of 2025, a few magistrates attended a 5-day workshop to build capacity among the region's judiciary in anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing, and counter-proliferation financing. The workshop was hosted by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in partnership with the Regional Security System, RSS. In September of 2025, 3 magistrates and supporting staff with other stakeholders attended a 2-day PACE Justice-sponsored case management workshop for magistrates, registrars, judicial assistants, and clerks of court. The workshop consisted of online and in-person presentations which focused on case management techniques, best practices, and the tools such as AI, which could help in effective case management. Statistics. The following provides a summary of cases filed and disposed across the various courts under the magistracy for the year 2025. Civil cases. 897 civil matters were filed, 360 were disposed. Maintenance and affiliation matters that includes child custody, adult custody, maintenance matters, access matters, and so on. 182 of those were filed in the family court, and 278 were disposed of. Criminal matters, which always represents our second highest number of matters filed, 866 criminal matters were filed, 581 disposed of. Traffic ticket matters, which represents our highest number, 1,324 traffic and ticket related matters were filed, 653 disposed of. In the juvenile court, 19 matters were filed, 33 were disposed of. Domestic violence matters, 188 filed, 58 disposed of. Domestic relationships, 46 filed, 7 disposed of. Child care and protection, 40 matters filed, 21 disposed of. And inquests, 183 filed, 62 disposed of. So as you were listening to the numbers, I'm sure you would have gathered that a lot more matters were filed than those that were disposed of. For the period January to December 2025, a total of 3,765 matters were filed at the Magistrates Court, while 2,053 matters were disposed of, a reflection of an increase in our backlog of cases. So it is my hope that even as we have gotten these new magistrates, additional magistrates, that we will work feverishly to reduce the case backlog, and that moving forward, we will have a better report in terms of the number of disposition of matters at the Magistrates Court. Revenue collected for the period July to December 2025. I will just give the total figure. An amount of $788,715.80 were collected via fines and tickets, etc. Establishment of new courtrooms. The night court. Night court sittings were reintroduced in September of 2025. The night court sits from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. and hears criminal trials as well as civil trials. Case management and civil hearings, court number 5. Case management hearings will begin this month, January 2026. The reason we have not yet started is because the magistrate that has been assigned to do case management is currently on vacation leave. Upon her return, we will begin. These hearings will serve as pre-trial hearings. At these hearings, the presiding magistrate will assess case readiness before the case is scheduled for trial, particularly in private criminal matters and for persons who are out on bail. The suitability of matters for hearing before the night court will also be determined at case management. Through this new initiative, there should be significantly reduced wasted judicial time, as the matters once listed for trial are ready and will proceed as scheduled without the need for excessive adjournments. Coroner's Court, court number 6. The Coroner's Court currently convenes 3 times per week, that is on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. In an attempt to accelerate the completion of inquest matters and facilitate quicker disposition, a dedicated courtroom has been established to facilitate daily sit-ins, Mondays to Fridays. You would have heard me say that in terms of inquest, 183 were filed in 2025 and 62 were disposed of. And in my estimation, it's not good enough. We need to do better. So certain things that will help us to do better. The challenge of timely completion of inquests, however, is mainly in the securing of jurors for the conducting of inquests and the service of summons for this court. So I wish to implore as the public, please, whenever it is that you see the summons oddly come in and they come in to try to get you to be a juror, your community service back to Dominica, just agree and come and assist. Because if it were your loved one that was dead and you were awaiting your documents for final disposition of assets and so on, you would like the inquest to be completed. So assist in any way that you can, serve as a juror. It is my hope that with the new schedule to accommodate daily sit-ins for hearing of inquest matters, new strategies will be put in place to attract persons to serve as jurors, and that the police will put more effort into the service of summons so as to ensure that this is not an exercise in futility. Increased access to justice. With the increased access to justice through the engagement of additional magistrates, that is with the expansion of the court sitting hours through the introduction of initiatives like night court, the implementation of case management hearings, and the daily sit-ins of Coroner's Court, it is anticipated that there will be a marked reduction in adjournments as well as a significant decrease in the overall case backlog. However, with the establishment and operationalization of these new courtrooms, there is the corresponding need for additional staffing, particularly clerks of court, who are to perform the tasks associated with the courtroom processing, thereby ensuring the effective administration of the proceedings. Additionally, the police will be required to assign more personnel to support court operations, including court criers, summons orderlies. Maybe I should repeat that one there, summons orderlies, court security officers, and of critical importance, additional police prosecutors whose presence remain essential to the efficient and timely disposition of matters before the courts. The court's new schedule has since been amended, to accommodate the various court sittings, and this has been circulated to all attorneys for their information. Just this week, I was telling the police prosecutors, you all have to try to move faster, because I have already seen, with the introduction of the additional magistrates and the additional courtrooms, that the dates that I am adjourning matters to, they are not as far as they used to be. So sometimes the police would say, give us some time to prepare the file and so on, long adjournment. We don't give very long adjournments anymore, because whereas before My schedule was so tight, I probably, if a matter came up today, I would have to adjourn it to June. Now I'm adjourning matters to next month because there are more magistrates to carry the workload and so on. So everybody has to pull up their stocks and move faster so that this can work well. Court buildings work continues on the new court buildings in Grand Bay and St. Joseph. My gratitude goes out to the Honorable Minister. The Minister is always behind us, supporting and pushing. Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs, Mr. Blackmore, the Permanent Secretary and other auxiliary staff in the ministry, and the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force for the invaluable support provided to the magistracy and its operations throughout 2025. Court cannot function without police. We need them. So thank you so much for all that you have done, and we look forward to even greater support in 2026. I also wish to acknowledge the continued hard work of the magistrates and court staff who provide the necessary support for the effective administration of justice. I extend my thanks to all involved over the past year. Finally, I remain grateful to God for His grace that has carried us through 2025 and will continue to be with us as we navigate through 2026. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Kara George, for your insightful and informative presentation. We now invite Mr. Jeffrey Edmond, Superintendent of Prisons, to deliver his presentation.
Honorable Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs, Permanent Secretary Acting, Ms. Lloyd, Director of FIU, Chief Magistrate, Commissioner of Police, Mr. Corbett, Registrar of Titles, Mrs. Bourgis Francois, heads of the ministry, the rest of the ministry, the media, listeners near and far. The Honourable Minister have already spoken on all the issues that I have to speak about, so I don't think I have nothing more that I have to say. Good morning. The Dominica Prison Service is pleased to provide its end-of-year report and to update on developments within our facility aimed at enhancing rehabilitation and reintegration efforts for our inmates and improving overall security of the prison. The government of Dominica have invested tremendous sums of money procuring a walk-through and baggage scanner and an up-to-date CCTV monitoring system. When these equipment are commissioned, it will greatly enhance our security systems at the prison. Both the scanners and the CCTV monitoring systems are about 95% complete. Training in the use of this equipment will commence shortly. We have seen a significant drop in our inmate population, moving from averages of 261 in 2023 and 254 in 2024 to 226 in 2025. Of special mention is a drop in the remand population. This reduction reflects the state's commitment to facilitating positive outcomes for individuals within our care. This morning, the prison population is 208 males and 2 females. Training programs. CSEC classes in social studies and English continues for some 14 inmates, with the hope of these inmates writing CSEC exams in June. In line with our commitment to promoting literacy and education among inmates, we have launched a literacy program tailored to meet the diverse learning needs of individuals within our facility. This program seeks to enhance literacy skills, foster a love for reading, and support personal growth and development. This is in collaboration with the Adult Education Department. A building maintenance module was conducted in partnership with the Youth Division. Some 9 inmates benefited from this module. Some 32 inmates and 2 officers also benefited from a candle and soap making workshop. This workshop is one that we hope to continue in the future. Farm Rehabilitation Program. The prison service is proud to collaborate with the agricultural station in Portsmouth to implement a farm rehabilitation program within the prison. We have received tools, equipment, seedlings under this program. Inmates are given the opportunity to engage in farm learning. They learn valuable skills related to farming and horticulture, and they learn to contribute to sustainable practices within the prison environment. We have seen increased yields in dashing, planting, vegetables, of which we've used for the consumption of the prison inmates. The ultimate goal also is to assist the Grotto Home for the Homeless and the Dominica Infirmary with vegetables and other stuff. These initiatives underscore our dedication to providing inmates with the necessary tools, resources, and support to facilitate their rehabilitation and successful reintegration into society. By offering educational programs, vocational training, and practical skills development programs, we aim to empower individuals to make positive change in their lives and to build a brighter future post-incarceration. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage the general public, when those inmates leave our shores, they should be encouraged to engage in meaningful work and not discouraged and not set aside, because what we find happening a lot of times is ex-convicts go and look for jobs and they are castigated because they were in prison. We cannot develop a society by doing that. The prison service remains committed to implementing innovative programs and initiatives that promote rehabilitation, reduce recidivism, and foster positive outcomes for individuals under our care. We appreciate the support of our partners, stakeholders, and the community in our shared mission to transform lives and build a safer, more inclusive society. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all prison officers for their unwavering effort and support systems, but we have much more to do. Let's put our shoulder to the wheel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Edmond. I will now call on Mr. Bakelson Farrell, Director of the FIU, to deliver his presentation.
Let me recognize the presence of the Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs, Mr. Reuben Blackmore, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs, Ms. Sarah Lloyd, Chief Magistrate, Mrs. Kander Carrot George, Chief of Police, Mr. Lincoln Corbett, Superintendent of Prison, Mr. Jeffrey Edmond, Registrar of Title, Mrs. Vincia Ogis Francois, Deputy Chief of Police, Mr. Jeffrey James, other heads of department and deputy, gazetted officers of the Commonwealth of the Dominica Police Force, administrative staff of the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs, the media, persons listening to this live broadcast, good afternoon. My presentation will provide an insight into the activities of the Financial Intelligence Unit conducted for the period 2024-2025 to combat money laundering and other financial crime. Each year has been a milestone, but 2024-2025 was a special year for the FIU since the establishment of a subunit and additional staff to the FIU. This presentation will outline the following: general operations of the FIU, money laundering investigations and prosecutions, asset forfeiture fund, amendment to the Money Laundering Prevention Act, additional staff, a new subunit within the FIU, United Nations Convention Against Corruption, scam, future prioritized action. General Operations. The FIU continues to function admirably. For the period, the Analytical Department analyzed suspicious activity reports and developed both operational and strategic analysis to assist other competent authorities, namely the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, the Financial Services Unit, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, and Customs to meet their operational needs. The FIU staff attended several training, seminars, and conferences, regionally and internationally, and participated as assessors, examiners, and trainers at some of these forums. The Financial Intelligence Unit, the Chambers of the Attorney General, and other competent authorities plays a major role in coordinating Dominica's compliance with the Financial Action Task Force 40 recommendations by assisting in the review and development of legislation, national policies and strategies, guidelines, conducting national risk assessment, among others. The FIU is also heading Dominica's Mutual Evaluation Core Technical Working Group, and several working group meetings were convened with a view to addressing deficiencies within Dominica's AML CFT framework. We focus on the following Financial Action Task Force 40 recommendations: 6, 7, 8, 15, 22, 24, 25, and 28. Furtherance of the work of the Core Technical Working Group, the Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs and the Honorable Attorney General facilitated the presentation of the following bills to Cabinet and subsequently to Parliament in October of 2024. The following bills were gazetted in November of 2025. Suppression of Financing of Terrorism Act, Money Laundering Prevention Act, Anti-Money Laundering and Suppression of Terrorism Financing Amendment, Code of Practice 2025. As a result of the amendment of the aforementioned bills, Dominica will be presenting CFATF fourth-rung mutual evaluation, third follow-up report, and will be applying for re-rating of 3 recommendations that were rated partially compliant and 1 recommendation that was rated non-compliant at the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force in May of 2026 in Trinidad and Tobago. I trust that we will be successful in our application for re-rating at the May 2026 CFATF plenary. Money laundering investigations and prosecutions. The Financial Intelligence Unit has collaborated and coordinated with the Director of Public Prosecution, the Chambers of the Attorney General, regional and international agencies in the area of financial crime investigations, drugs, firearm and ammunition trafficking, and money laundering investigations, which resulted in the effective investigations and prosecution of several matters. Of interest is the recent arrest and prosecution of one Ricardo Silva de Ulavara, 37-year-old male individual from Brazil, who arrived in Dominica on the 12th of November 2025. On Thursday, 13th November 2025, personnel from a financial institution reported to the Criminal Investigations Department and the FIU the fraudulent use of the institution's ATM machines and the theft of a large amount of cash by the use of compromised Europay, Master and Visa cards with magnetic strips. The accused was caught on video surveillance, making withdrawals at the institution's ATM machines in and around the Roseau. The accused was also caught with a card reader, a HP laptop, a large amount of cash, and several ATM cards. A joint investigation was conducted with the CID and the Financial Intelligence Unit. The accused was subsequently arrested and charged with money laundering, theft, and trafficking of fraudulent cards and taken before a magistrate's court, where he pleaded guilty. The accused was fined. The cash recovered was restituted and he was repatriated. This type of activities is prominent in other Caribbean islands by Brazilian nationals. The Financial Intelligence Unit have been advised. The financial institutions have been advised to safeguard themselves against these persons traveling throughout the Caribbean committing this type of crimes. The financial institutions are also urged to exercise heightened vigilance and take immediate steps to detect and prevent any instances of ATM skimming and related computer fraud. Timely action, information sharing, and preventive measures are critical in mitigating losses and apprehending those involved. For the reporting period, the Financial Investigations Department also seized cash totaling $1,779,680. All monies seized and successfully prosecuted was subsequently deposited into the Asset Forfeiture Fund. Section 33 of the Money Laundering Prevention Act makes provisions that the asset forfeiture funds are to be earmarked to satisfy any obligation of the state as it relates to payment of financial accountant, sharing of forfeited assets, the supplement of the resources allocated under the budget of all law enforcement authorities within Dominica, including the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution and the Chambers of the Attorney General. In light of the Money Laundering Prevention Act, intervention was made by the Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs on behalf of the Roseau Magistrates Court, the Financial Intelligence Unit, the Supreme Court, Customs Division, and the Regional Security System. As a result, a total disbursement of $2,042,096.42 was made from the Asset Forfeiture Fund. Additional staff. The government of Dominica, along with 4 Caribbean countries that provides the Citizenship by Investment Program, have been engaging in consultation with representatives of the United States Treasury Department in relation to 6 guiding principles aimed at strengthening the reputation and integrity of the Citizenship by Investment Program. As such, in November 2024, the government of Dominica established a subunit within the FIU. The unit is responsible to collaborate with CARICOM Impacts, Joint Regional Communication Center, in the vetting and conducting enhanced due diligence on all applications submitted to and received by the CBIU. The mandate of this unit is guided mainly by the Citizenship by Investment Regulations, SRO 8 of 2024, the Financial Intelligence Unit Act, the Citizenship Act, and other applicable legislation. This unit is mainly responsible for reviewing and processing all applications for citizenship via the Citizenship by Investment Program, conduct enhanced due diligence background checks on applicants for citizenship, ensuring that all due diligence and background checks are comprehensive and completed throughout the application process. Ensure that sufficient information is provided to justify any recommendation to the minister concerning an application or applicant, and to provide oversight for risk and compliance related matters on the Citizenship by Investment Unit. Currently, the unit is manned by 5 police officers, who are all vetted and polygraphed, to ensure that the highest level of integrity and professionalism is maintained in such a sensitive unit. Under the direction of the director of the FIU, the unit is headed by a senior financial investigator with a wealth of knowledge in financial investigations, financial analysis, a certified money laundering specialist, and also a certified law enforcement assessor with the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. All officers attached to this unit are sufficiently trained and continue to receive training in various areas of law enforcement, such as anti-money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism, financial analysis, and due diligence techniques, among others. The officers are well acquainted with the Financial Action Task Force standards, which provides a comprehensive framework of measures to help countries tackle illicit financial flows. The unit, being part of the FIU, is also authorized to engage and liaise with various regional and international law enforcement agencies in the process of conducting its functions, to include the Regional Security System, the Joint Regional Communication Center, the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, Interpol, among others. I must say that the subunit has been working tirelessly. United Nations Convention Against Corruption. One expert in the implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption from the FIU, along with one expert from Italy and 2 technical officers from the United Nations office in Geneva, participated in an on-site visit to Israel during the period May 2023 to May 30th, 2025, in the heat of the ongoing armed conflict in Gaza, to review and focus on the implementation by Israel of Chapter 2 and Chapter 5 of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption for the review cycle 2016 to 2021. This experience, the experience gained was an eye-opening, as it provided an opportunity for in-depth comparison with Dominica's effort. As we speak, the FIU, in its capacity as the national focal point for the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, is spearheading the review of Dominica's implementation of Chapter 2, Preventive Measures, and Chapter 5, Asset Recovery, of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption for the review cycle 2016, 2021, and 2021-2025. The assessors are from Guyana and Romania. Secondment of new staff. In furtherance of the additional mandate, the director of the FIU, after consultation with the Chief of Police, made recommendation to the Honorable Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs. As a result, the Minister approved the secondment of 2 additional police officers to the FIU as of December 2025 to augment its staff complement to be more effective in fulfilling its mandate. Amendment to the Money Laundering Prevention Act. In keeping with the Financial Action Task Force methodology, in particular Recommendation 32, the Government of Dominica amended the Money Laundering Prevention Act in December of 2024. This amendment allows persons to travel to and from Dominica with no more than $10,000 or equivalent without declaring to Customs or FIU. Therefore, you can travel to and from Dominica with $10,000 or equivalent without declaring to customs or the FIU. However, when traveling to Dominica and you declare that you're carrying in excess or more than $10,000 or equivalent, customs or FIU may detain the cash and ask you to provide evidence as to the source of the funds. Online scam. Let me take the opportunity to advise the general public, especially senior citizens, to be cautious and vigilant of online scam. Scammers are on the internet, creating fake profile, sending emails and text messages on dating websites and on social media platforms, creating fraudulent relationship with senior citizens, all in an effort to gain their trust, manipulate them, and take advantage of their vulnerabilities, solely to steal their hard-earned monies. The FIU has been receiving reports of senior citizens sending large amount of monies to persons they met online. The scammers will create fraudulent situation, crisis, for example, family and medical emergencies, loss of employment, in an effort to convince the unsuspected victims in sending monies to them. Some of these scammers also claim that they are in the military or working overseas, making it difficult for them to collect the monies. And as such, they request the victims to transfer money in the name of other persons on their behalf. Recently, one such case involved someone sending over $100,000 over a period of time to someone they met online. Speaking to the victim, this individual is convinced the person will repay and will come to Dominica. Let me advise persons, at no time should you send money to any stranger you met online. Always talk to someone you trust after receiving requests for monies from persons you met online. Again, Dominica is not unique to this type of scam. They are being seen in other Caribbean islands as well. Future prioritized action. The FIU is committed to continue meeting its obligations and to continue to play that pivotal role in relation to Dominica AML CFT abilities. The FIU is showing itself more and more to be able, useful, and in many cases, a vital partner in tackling money laundering and other financial crime on our shores. Looking ahead, we will continue to strengthen our national, regional, and international connections to better assist the staff and law enforcement agencies in the investigations of money laundering and other financial crime impacting Dominica. The continued learning opportunities to staff remains paramount to ensure that, together with our partners, we can adequately investigate financial crime in our jurisdiction. Let me say thanks to the Minister, the Permanent Secretary, and the administrative staff of the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs for the tremendous support and assistance provided and continue to provide to the FIU in its effort to combat money laundering, terrorist financing, and other financial crime. Lastly, I would like to recognize and express appreciation to the FIU staff for their continued commitment to the FIU and the national AML CFT efforts. The notable achievements of the FIU for the reporting period is attributed to the efforts and dedication to the staff despite the many challenges. I will wait for any questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell, for your comprehensive presentation. We now call on Mr. Corbett, Chief of Police, to deliver his remarks.
Good afternoon.
the Honorable Reuben Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Legal Affairs, Ms. Sarah Lloyd, PS Acting, Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs, Ms. Candia Carrot George, Chief Magistrate, Mr. Mackelson Ferrell, Director of the FIU, Mr. Jeffrey Edmond, Head of the Prisons, Mr. Willita, Chief Fire Officer Acting, Mr. Geoffrey James, Deputy Chief of Police, Ms. Vincent Auguste Francois, Registrar of Titles, Gazetteers officers on the ranks of the police force, other senior heads of department. I see the DPP, I see the head of Met, I also see the head of ODM, and the head of the Mr. Allen, Legal Aid. I also see the Deputy Chief of Fire Officer and other ranks. The media, members of the public, I say good afternoon again. It's a pleasure again to update you on a number of matters relative to the Commandant of the Police Force. I represent on a few matters today. One, the achievement of the police force over the year 2025, progress on ongoing operations to reduce the casualties of firearms in the state, the status of serious crimes in Dominica, plans for police in 2026 to reduce crimes and the fear of crimes, achievements for 2025. In the year 2025, we saw the establishment of the Firearms Task Force. That is, as indicated before, a dedicated unit that was established primarily to investigate and seize all illegally obtained firearms in the state. That is, all firearms that have been possessed illegally in the state. We also saw the establishment of the BIT unit in Roseau. That unit was again established to ensure we have a visible presence of police officers in the streets of Roseau 24/7. That unit have contributed significantly to the reduction in crime in the city of Roseau. We also saw the establishment of the community policing unit. Again, that unit is dedicated to ensure that we drive community policing throughout the state. I will highlight later some of the activities that have been conducted by that unit, that is the community policing unit, to ensure that community policing is effective island-wide. We also saw the removal and also the tagging of a number of derelict vehicles. One may see this may not be the job of the police, but in collaboration with the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation, we removed island-wide 160 vehicles, derelict vehicles, and that again is ongoing. So you will see again this year, we're removing and tagging more vehicles to be removed on the streets of Dominica. And there are some particular areas I'm not going to right now, but there are some areas in the Massac area. Behind Mams, I was there on Sunday, about 10 of them. So the owners better take note that they will be removed sometime. And I'm suspecting sometime next week we'll move to get rid of them. About 10 of them. We also conducted a number of patrols in the various communities of Dominica. Again, all in the drive to ensure that we get closer to the public. Under the community policing arm, we established a special team of officers, a unit in the western area, what we refer to as the Farmers Patrol. That team of officers, alongside the farmers, patrol areas of Wesley from Wednesday to Sunday in an effort to reduce the incidents of theft of produce from the farmers. Again, that came out of a meeting with the farmers It was identified as one of the major areas of concern for them in the West area. And again, we have seen a significant reduction in the number of reports that has been made to the police by the farmers. We also introduced under the Community Police Initiative school resource personnel. These officers are expected to adopt a school and to serve as a liaison between the police and the principal. So again, you will see again this year, greater emphasis on that. And all schools around the island will have an officer assigned to that school. We've also introduced a mentorship program in Mafia State Silver Lake area, and again, it's continuing. It's our intention to expand it as we go along for the year. Interestingly, we also saw this year the establishment of what we refer to as police relations teams. That is, officers residing in a particular locality, and from that area have come together. It started in Campbell, it moved to Penville, Belleville-Chopin, Atkinson, and also the Stock Farm area. The idea here is that officers, as I said, residing within the areas will come together to build closer bonds with the public. And the intention is we'll do that throughout the island. That again is another arm of community policing relations. Throughout also this year, we saw the increased mobility in that we were gifted by the state 6 brand new motor vehicles, specially adapted for the police. We expect that we required. Those vehicles were put into service immediately, and I can report that so far that they all working with no issues. We also saw this year the policing of major activities or events. That is Carnival 2025, Jazz and Creole, World Creole Music Festival, Independence and Christmas. And I'm pleased to report that we had no reports of any major incidents during those activities. None whatsoever. We also had this year the successful launching and implementation of the Police Week. That, to my mind, was a very successful event. And I wish to place on record my appreciation to members of the public who participated throughout the activities. We also saw this year the procurement of equipment, and I suppose the Minister will speak a little more to that, for the issuance of driver licenses in enough. So I'll pause it there and the Minister will take it. I suppose he'll expand. But the intention, really and truly, is that you need not come to Roseville for a simple motor vehicle license or driver license. And that may sound like a small thing, but it's a big thing because it costs people quite a bit of money just come for a license. And like I say, hopefully this year, within this month, we should see the implementation of that. The equipment has already been installed in Portsmouth. People have been identified. It's a matter of training them and running with the program. This year again, we saw the training of quite a bit of officers. In excess of 420 officers, police officers, were exposed to training in various fields, to include operations, investigations, prosecution, tactical, cyber, maritime, and intelligence. So out of a force of just over 500, in excess of 420 officers were exposed to some form of training throughout the year. And this training will be conducted locally, regionally, and internationally. And again, this training is ongoing. I will not update you on the operations geared at reducing the use of firearms, that is, callous use of firearms in Dominica. In 2025, we planned and executed 3 major operations aimed at reducing the use of firearms in Dominica. Operation Clean Streets, with the help of the RSS. Operation Save DE, and now ongoing Operation Northern Spear. Operation Northern Spear is focused on the northern part of Dominica. And we would have seen later in the year, 2025, quite a bit of shootings in the northern part of Dominica. And again, with the mandate we have as police to reduce crime and the fear of crime, an operation has been mounted and it's been ongoing for almost 2 months in that area. And we've seen significant results from this operation. Overall, these 3 operations we have done or conducted in excess of 300 vehicle checkpoints. That's where we stop motor vehicles on suspicion and search. We've conducted almost 200 house searches based upon information that the police has, credible information. We've arrested also in excess of 50 individuals for gun-related matters. I'm saying all these are just to do with firearms. We would have conducted other searches on other VCPs, but those are specifically related to tackling firearms and use of firearms. 94 firearms were seized in the year 2025. So 94 firearms unavailable to the criminals to use to harm our citizens. And in excess of 1,300 rounds were seized, and they were in varying calibers of ammunition. We also saw the seizure of in excess of 1,700 kilos of cocaine that was seized and destroyed. And the sum in excess of $84,000 was seized or confiscated by the police. Again, just under those 3 operations. The crime situation. Dominica is still considered one of the safest countries in the Caribbean. A review of statistics for the year 2025 as compared to 2024 indicated that we have a significant reduction in overall crime in Dominica. So we saw an 11% reduction overall in crimes that reported to the police as compared to 2024. That, to my mind, is a significant reduction. And we see, and then it will keep going down, down, and down. So, just to go through some statistics, for example, on the issue of indecent assault, we saw a 27% reduction. Burglaries, again, a constant reduction in crime. As compared to last year, we saw a 5% reduction. Theft, a 45% reduction. Taking conveyance, 26% reduction. GBH, or grievous bodily harm, a 25% reduction. USI, that is unlawful sexual intercourse, a 22% reduction. And incest, 100%, meaning we had no reports in 2025 of incest. The police force will continue to review, implement, and execute operations aimed at reducing crime and the fear of crime. So we'll use whatever technology available to us to strengthen the capacity of officers to do just that. In 2026, we'll continue the digitalization of the police force, and we have equipment that is donated by the United States and other partner agencies. It's expected that training will commence very shortly. We also intend to fill vacancies. And again, we will call upon people that are of Dominican citizens between the age of 18 and 30 to apply for and to join the police force. And the minister would have also mentioned that we saw the filling of the vacant position of chief and deputy chief of police. I would have commended already the deputy publicly on his appointment. So we're pleased that the two positions were filled, and we are committed. We have given a commitment to ensure that we work hard to ensure that all the objectives, all the vision and mission of the police force is achieved. And more importantly, the issue of crime and the fear of crime is dealt with. We will see also this year an increased policing presence as uniform patrols and mobile patrols throughout the island. We'll see an increase in school visits. We'll also see an increase in operations aimed at reducing the possession of firearms in the state. So you'll see more vehicle checkpoints, more house searches as compared to last year. And again, we have officers who are dedicated team of officers to ensure that is achieved. We'll also see this year the celebration of Police Week, sometime hopefully in September. And a burning issue for the officers, I know I have to do the upgrade of the accommodation. It's hoped that the St. Joseph Police Station will be completed. I know work is in an advanced stage of completion. And at that station, we'll see facilities, accommodation that is for police women. So for the first time, we'll have police women station at the St. Joseph Police Station to provide service to people of the St. Joseph area. We hope to see also the completion of the Castle's Police Station. The Vegas Police Station is geared for a major, well, I should say a brand new station. But hopefully this year we'll remove officers, we'll move from where they are right now to a temporary location, which is better than what is right now. We'll also see some improvement at the Solid Police Station. For the first time, Solid Police Station, Solid areas that is being headed by a sergeant of police. So we have to make some improvements to the building, so we can put the proper quarters for the sergeant. But in the meantime, he's using what is available. So we'll see some work being done very shortly at the South Police Station, so we can have a dedicated space for the sergeant of police. And as you know by now, that the South Police Station is also covering Kulibi Street, since Kulibi Police Station have been closed. So we'll see, again, those improvements. As I close, I need to place on record my appreciation out of the force to the Honorable Prime Minister for his unwavering support and commitment to the police force. It's been said often that everything we ask for, or the Prime Minister, we get it. And that is so true. And even without asking, and when we ask for one, sometimes we get free. So we ask for 10 vehicles, and I think we're getting quite much more than 10. I've been to 22. 23 as well. So we might get 46. I also wish to place on record our appreciation for the Honorable Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs. Mr. Blackmore, the Minister, is a champion for the police force, and he spares no effort. I know he does it for other ministries, but he spares no effort to ensure that the police force have what is required to do our work. I know he'll come down on us when we get what we ask for. But I know he spares no effort to ensure all that's required for the police, to ensure that we can render a very professional service that is to the public. So, Mr. Minister, we are very thankful for the support that you've given to the police over the years. I have no doubt that will continue. The PS, National Security, Ms. Commodore, she's not there now, but Ms. Commodore have supported the police throughout. And I see no drop in her support from Ms. Lloyd. Although she's been acting for less than a month, Ms. Lloyd. It continues. Again, Ms. Lloyd have been, I don't want to say the pillar of the backbone, but she's been in the ministry supporting the PS Blackmore. So it's just a continuation of where it works with. I must place on record also my appreciation and thanks to the hard-working members of the police force, the rank and file. Without their dedication and hard work, all that we have achieved throughout 2025, and all that I'll be asking of them for 2026, it would not be possible. Again, I must say thank you very much. And we're not calling anybody in particular rank, but had it not been for their hard work, continued hard work, it would not be possible. I also must place on record the support of our regional and international partners, whether through mutual cooperation, provision of training, equipment, or the technical support. They have stood by us side by side. Again, the minister would have articulated on some of the matters, some of the issues that were implemented. Big one has to do with the announcement of that we are now able to monitor. And that's a big thing. It costs a lot of money. He may want to tell you when it comes how much it costs. It costs a lot of money to implement this piece of equipment. Again, we are very thankful to our partners, our good friends at the U.S. Embassy and Softcom. All our other partners and stakeholders would have also contributed to our success, and I say thank you very, very much. And the general public for trusting us with the information that you have. It's often said that who can you trust in force to give information? But most, if not all of the results that we have comes from members of the public who are willing to work alongside the police to give the information that they have, something intelligent that they have, so we can operate effectively. And there's no word of any information leaking out. And we've been able to effectively conduct operations with information that we're getting from members of the public who are not happy with what they're seeing happening in society. So as we go forward, we pledge to work harder and seriously to ensure that Dominican remains a safe place, and members of the public and the citizens can feel safe to go about their business in their own time. We cannot do it alone, and we call upon the members of the public to ensure that we work collaboratively to ensure that, as I said, Dominican remains a safe place. Finally, I also urge members of the public who have any information that maybe we should share it with the police. There's a dedicated hotline, 1-800-TIPS, 1-800-844-8477. I'll take it again, 1-800-TIPS or 1-800-8477. That's Crime Stoppers hotline. It's anonymous. You don't need to give your name or address. All we want from you is information. And again, that Crime Stop is not being managed by the police in Dominica. It's managed out of Canada. And all we get from Crime Stoppers is information, no name, no address, anything of the callers. So thank you once again. And as I said, we pledge to work harder to ensure that Dominica remains a very safe place for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett, for your valuable presentation. At this juncture, I call on Mrs. Foiswa to deliver her presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Acting PS, Ms. Lloyd. Permit me to adopt the protocol already established. However, allow me to recognize the members of the head table: Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs; Mrs. Candia Carrot George, Chief Magistrate; Mr. Jeffrey Edmond, Superintendent of Prison; Mr. Mackelson Farrell, Director of Financial Intelligence Unit; Mr. Lincoln Corbett, Chief of Police. I am delighted for this opportunity to address you in my capacity as Registrar of Titles of the Commonwealth of Dominica. As you may know, the Land Titles Registry Division is still a relatively new division within the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs. It was established in the year 2018 by the Title by Registration Amendment Act No. 8 of 2018. And prior to that year, the title section, as it was then called, functioned under the ambit of the High Court Registry. Currently, the Land Titles Registry functions independently and is a separate registry, much like the company's registry here in the Commonwealth of Dominica. And as most of you know, the Land Titles Registry now operates on the 3rd floor of the Post Office building, Bayfront, Roseau, and has a complement of 14 members of staff. The current staff includes the registrar, the deputy registrar, the registrar's assistant, printing technicians, 2 junior clerks, 3 clerks under the National Employment Program, and 5 officers who are employed contractually under a special project. I am happy to report that the year 2025 marked another satisfactory year for the division, as it continued to record incremental growth and positive improvements in several areas. The division continued to manage, process, and deal with all matters relating to lands, registration of lands, and other dealings with lands, including noting caveats, mortgages, withdrawal of caveats, and discharge of mortgages. During the last period, the division made every effort to implement time-saving measures to ensure that the processing time for the various transactions were reduced. However, I must report that there may be some delay in processing transactions in certain circumstances. For example, if your transaction is out of order for some reason and the defect is not cured within a reasonable time, then your transaction will inevitably be delayed. Also, if the division is processing a part transfer for you and your surveyor fails to attend at the land registry within a reasonable time to conduct what we refer to as the hatch-off, then your transaction will also be delayed through no fault of the registry. I therefore urge all legal practitioners to make every effort within the coming months to work diligently on their out-of-order files, which will realize a significant reduction in delayed transactions. Similarly, I wish to remind or to encourage all of our land surveyors to visit regularly at the land registry to perform the necessary hatch-offs, which will facilitate continuation of the registration process and ensure a reduction in delays. I look forward to a collaborative effort as we seek to discard some long outstanding transactions within the next few months. In March and April of 2025, one employee from the division attended a disaster preparedness training program facilitated by the Office of Disaster Management at GIMIT. This training was necessary and timely for the division, as steps are now being taken to implement a disaster plan, which includes other safety features for the building. In the months of April and May of 2025, the division hosted 2 interns from the Dominica Youth Development Division as part of a yearly training program. The young interns were enthusiastic, helpful, and pleasant to work with, and were an added benefit to the division during the period mentioned. We welcomed the opportunity to partner with the youth division, and we wish the young interns well in their future endeavors. The division is pleased to inform the public that requests for first certificate of titles and requests to state a case to the court were given priority in 2025, with the addition of a 3rd judge to the jurisdiction. The number of requests forwarded to the judge for approval increased significantly from last period, and we are grateful to His Lordship, Justice Davidson Baptiste, in this regard. At this time, kindly permit me to share some of the highlights of the last year. Number 1, total number of caveats of seizures, mortgages, and requests for conversions of equitable mortgage to legal mortgage processed, 690. Total number of withdrawal of caveats and discharge of mortgages processed, 586. Total number of encumbrances, 20. Total number of requests for first certificates of titles, requests for reconstruction of lost or damaged titles, and requests to state a case presented at the Land Registry for processing, 243. Number of certificates of titles processed manually, 431. Number of certificates of titles processed electronically, 762. Total number of titles signed and delivered, 1,193. Total number of requests for first certificate of titles and requests to set a case reviewed by the Honorable Judge, 249. In closing, I wish to place on record my sincere thanks to the dedicated staff of the Land Registry Division. You continue to give invaluable service to the division, as well as serving our customers with care, attention, and respect. I take this opportunity again to extend best wishes to you and your families during the year 2026. I look forward to another excellent year as we continue to work together to improve all areas of service within the division. I also wish to express my thanks and appreciation to the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs for its support during the last year. The Minister, the Permanent Secretary, and the support staff of the Ministry have indeed provided the division with critical support and assistance during the last period. And on behalf of the division, I record my appreciation for all of your efforts, assistance, and support during the year. And finally, I wish to thank our customers, stakeholders, and other users of the Land Registry. As some of you may know, at the Land Registry, we value all of our customers and other users. And one of our main objectives is to ensure that your experience with us is always pleasant, rewarding, and comfortable. Notwithstanding the challenges of 2025, my staff join me in saying that we look forward to serving you with excellence, respect, and consideration in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ogis Francois, for your informative presentation. We now invite the press for questions. Kindly state your name and media host before your question, please.
Okay. I see Mr. Matthew is not there. He had to run to do his news. So I'll attempt to do some of the things that we normally do together. Chief, you gave some statistics as it relates to different things in Dominica, and you spoke about a reduction in crime, and you said that there's an 11% reduction as to 2025. And we were just wondering, you maybe inadvertently left out murder. There were 22 or so murders for 2025. Was that a reduction? Because you did not give that figure. Can you please enlighten us?
Good afternoon again. I would have spoken on the issue of murders before. That's why I didn't mention it again this morning. I think sometime last week I mentioned it. But yes, in fact, we had 22 murders for the year 2025. As compared to last year, it's an increase. Thank you.
To the Superintendent of Prisons, Mr. Edmond, you gave some statistics as it relates to the reduction in the remand, but you did not give, you only said there's a reduction at the remand center but you did not see a breakdown in terms of the reduction in the remand center. I know over the years, this has always been the concern as it relates to the number of persons who has been on remand, especially during the closing of the courts. You normally address that and say something of concern to you. But you only said there's a reduction in the remand. Can you specify anything after that, please, sir?
Okay, good afternoon again. Our remand population over the last 5 years have been averaging in the region of 135, 140. But in the last 5-6 months, our remand population has gone down for the first time under 100. Okay?
Honorable Blackmore, and let me rise to commend you and by the police force and the other leader departments for the hard work being put in place last year and the strategies that are implemented for reduction in crime. I think this statement that we have to do in this press conference is a very creative one. We have various members of the activities to continue for this year and beyond. But there's a cry from some members of the public, enforcement of penalties for gun-related crimes will not be considered this year.
The Chief Magistrate is there. I'm not sure whether I'm the competent authority to answer that question, and the Chief Magistrate is there. But what I must say that I have seen an improvement, speaking from the perspective of a member of the public, in terms of the seriousness of the penalties for gun-related crimes. There was a case that was actually brought before the appeals court, where the magistrate has sentenced a first-time offender to 2 years imprisonment, and that was challenged. And the decision of the magistrate court was upheld by the Court of Appeal, and on the basis, therefore, that the magistrate, quite rightly so at the time, gave reasons why he was departing from the sentencing guideline, on the primary basis upon which, therefore, the prevalence of gun-related crimes. We have seen subsequently thereafter that the last one that was brought before the court, according to my recollection, when a young man was intercepted with a 9mm, he was sentenced to 4 years imprisonment also. I want to reiterate that our gun laws, the penalties, and also I was elated by the fact I was present at the special sitting of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. I listened to the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, spoke on behalf of the people of this country and called for some serious introspection to be done by those who have the responsibility of enforcing the law, not only the police. And I think there is a sentiment, therefore, that has to be inculcated within the respective psyches of all of us who have our responsibilities. So yes, we're also looking at as we speak, the Firearms Act is law, the Act itself is before a special consultant that we have retained, former Attorney General Mr. Anthony Laron, looking at all the various ramifications and looking at similar laws. For example, you have Jamaica, the Jamaica model. And I must say, within the OECS catchment, the Jamaica gun laws are, to me, more stringent. What is required, therefore, is for an appreciation of all of us who have roles to play, to realize that that issue of gun crime is something that will define us as a people. And that is why I believe, just going back to what the Police Commissioner just spoke about, and why I actually push for greater enforcement and the need for us to investigate all the angles, all the elements involved. That is why we are brought on board the government's expertise in the areas of investigation of gun crime, gangs, etc., and forensic analysis of evidence that's been done on also, the intention of which is to find all the players, all the complicits who are involved, and let the chips fall where they ought to fall. A lot of folks come on Facebook and social media and pointing fingers at the wrong sort of people, while they harbor and protect people, and they attack people who are fighting for the preservation of peace and civility. That's what it is. And because we see everything through political conceptual lens. That's not my focus here this morning. Just to take back to the question that Mr. Halai asked a while ago, reference the prison population. Before I left to go across to the Ministry of Public Works, I also had the opportunity to have been the minister. The likes of Mr. Chatter, a great guy, Mr. Blanc, and there was other guy from Jordan. What his name was? Katin? Right. So I worked with all the good folks. And I can recall it in the early 2000s thereabout. And I like to reference secondary sources as a researcher myself. You understand? And I call on members of the media, therefore, to demonstrate a greater level of gravitas to the task that they have to perform, and to get themselves in more, detail-oriented research. And if you were to go back to 1996, for example, the population at the prison was higher than now. 241. It averaged, isn't that so, mister?
That's correct.
It averaged in the mid-90s, 242. The other time, I can recall once, the prison was 300 something. Yeah. All right? That was before, listen please, that was before the advent of Roosevelt Skerrit as Prime Minister. Right? For matter of fact, in 1998, the prison population was 248. Do you get my point? And there are times they were 300 plus. Let us not forget, because I was speaking on a structure program, and my good friend, I asked him if you can recall a particular date in a particular year. And he said no, he wasn't. I asked him what happened on that day. He wasn't aware. That day was when we were devastated by Hurricane Maria. But we have forgotten that. If you forget, you get my point. So let us not forget what obtained before. And let us not forget that we had Maria, when we had no courts for how many years, Chief Magistrate? Huh? A couple months, right. But you talk about, and then when you had COVID for a long time. Now, Maria, now I can recall, the DPP is there, you have to reconstruct case files. You know what I'm saying, Karen? The courts could not sit, so you had to have virtual sittings. We had to actually convert a section in the prison to a court. It's not some sidewalk. Let's get serious. The conference room, police headquarters. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And then we had COVID-19. So obviously, you're going to have a situation whereby you had less court sittings. So you're going to have challenges, especially with the remand population. Now we have to strike a balance between the public interest. And the public interest sometimes encompasses the rights of an accused. But is it in the interest of justice to release people who have been incarcerated, remanded for murder? You get my point I'm saying? So I say no. That is why the government has placed tremendous emphasis in putting personnel and systems in place to deal with the issue of backlogs and to expedite processes. So that's why in the first quarter of this year, a special prosecutor will be retained as a senior counsel to deal specifically with those kind of cases and to assist the office of the DPP to deal with those cases that are in the system and to ensure that they're dealt with quickly. As we heard from the Chief Magistrate, that right now they're giving closer dates. So all the players in the system have to double up, including the police, everybody. And people like to talk about the police, but most of the times that when requests are made for adjournment, it's not the prosecution, a number of times. So, and a number of times when you have no service, especially at the magistrate court, no service is not the police. Sometimes the situation with the bailiff. And the last time I checked, the Commissioner of Police doesn't have any authority over the bailiff. So, when they have to serve us for that treating matter, for those who hide in the financial center, waiting for when they come into office to serve us, I said, yeah, what you're going to call it treating? When my good friend went in to say, the only evidence they had was a statement from my good friend. And he said that when he went to the event at the stadium, and he started that, he was moved by the music. And he was shown how to make a cross. To the extent to which when he went to call you during the election, he voted for his opponent. It was the only statement that they had in evidence. So if you could have found the Prime Minister, the ministers to serve them for treating, well, you can't find other people now. You guys, so I'm saying let us be serious about this thing. And so I'm not saying that to put that into perspective. As I close though, any more questions there?
Yes, I have a question.
Like past lunchtime.
Yes, I just captured there. I wanted to ask, as it relates to the traffic situation, in the city. I know just last month there was a statement as it relates to the parking, and the chief also spoke about the derelict vehicles that they do not want to remove them, which is very good. But the parking situation has become really hazardous in the city, and especially in the corners, people park left, right, and center. So I just wanted to find out from the police what measures do they intend to take to attempt to alleviate the traffic congestion and the parking situation in the city.
I'm trying to wrap your question around my head. But in terms of alleviating parking, there's not much that police can do. Roads haven't gotten any bigger. What I can advise people is if they're going to do some carpooling, and park out of the city. Because we have 70,000 people in Dominica and 43,000 plus cars. It means therefore some homes have more than 2 cars and 3 cars.
Things there. Is it right?
So it's unlawful to do that, Mr. John Baptist, and the officers again, I say, have been ensuring that we prevent about what people play cat and mouse with the police. As long as they pass, if we can move out, they put a chair. So again, we've been taking chairs, we've been taking benches, we've been taking pallets, we've been taking tires. and good of them. Okay? But all I said that is not right, and again, we'll enforce the law as much as we can. And while you're on that, maybe I should just add also, okay, for you're going to ask that question about...
I did ask that. I know what you preempted, but I did ask that, but I thought you would have dealt with it. But go ahead then.
What's that you ask?
The same issue as it relates to the notice that was issued last year, as it relates to parking, I did ask that, and the reinforcement or the enforcement of the react.
So what I can say that we have a committee that's meeting and sitting and discussing, and very early I'm suspecting within the first quarter of this year to be fully implemented. I can say that much. Thank you very much.
If I may, I think we have to get to a culture of, as we move forward, as we develop into a first-class country. You know of the Rosa Enhancement Project, and the intention is to ensure that vehicles park on the fringes of the city and not entering the city, and provision will be so provided for that. But reference to what you asked Carla, the police operate under the laws of this country, and they are mandated by law to do certain things. And under the Police Act 1401, okay, and you can review it yourself. I think it's section 11 or something like that. Is it 11? Or I think so. That the police have the authority to remove any obstruction on any traffic thoroughfare. If you go under the small charges, section 43, you can refer to it yourself, where alleys, sidewalks, roadways are defined as public thoroughfare. The police have the authority in law to clear any impediment and to take action. But if you operate under the small charges, you must charge somebody. For you also see that people put things like sand and stones on the roadside for construction. The law allows that, but it also say for a reasonable period of time. So it means, therefore, you cannot leave stones and sand on the road for 2 months, 3 months, and nothing happens. And the police has a facility on the law, the small charges, etc. And also, the Police Act says to remove, you know what the word remove is? To remove any obstruction and any traffic thoroughfare. That's got to fundamentally clear. So, when you don't enforce the law sometimes, you create a culture of disobedience. And I believe that is something that we have to, but again, it's always good to embark on a comprehensive process of public education to alert the people that the police will be acting and to take necessary action to prevent what you're doing. You know, I want to just say quickly also before we leave. The chief made reference to, as we have declared, that in this month, working in the line ministries, you're going to see commencement of the issuance of driver's licenses in the Portsmouth area to be followed by Marigot. Also, I believe we're going to a point where other things can be dealt with. And things that the issue about the ministry, we'll be working in line ministries and for the chief of police to look at the whole issue of personalized number plates. Why can't, if somebody wants to have a personalized number plate, you know, all those things that we're moving towards implementing in this early this year. So there are more things we can do, and of course, revenue can be made out of that too. Do you understand that? So, and also, you heard the Prime Minister made a pronouncement of the Marigot Fisheries Complex being transformed into a port of entry, and the Commissioner of Police led a team along with the people from the Port Authority to put the processes in place along with immigration in place. So early this year, we can see the actual implementation of that, where Marigot Fisheries Complex shall be, parliamentary. So these are the things that the ministry will be working with, and to ensure, when somebody asks on the social media platform, when are we going to install the scanner at the registry? The scanner has been installed at the registry. What has been done now, or left to be done, is the networking. And next week, training will commence. So we are right on the ball insofar as implementing our mandate, insofar as our policy mandates are concerned. And at the prisons, you heard from the superintendent of prisons in terms of 95% and 70% implemented. And I believe that we are on the right track. And as a minister, my role is to ensure that the policies of the government relative to the ministry can be implemented efficiently and well. And there have been no more questions. Any more questions? I want to place on record, my appreciation for the support that the minister has gotten. And before that, we did not hear from the fire chief, but the fire officers continue to excel. We're almost at the completion of the fire station in Granby, where we'll be having 20 officers, including female officers. And Lapland, thanks to the government of the United States of America, we're going to have a new fire station and ambulance station in Lapland. And we're talking about the appliances also. By the 27th of this month, everything being on target, we shall be receiving 2 additional fire trucks for the fire and ambulance services. And one of the things I like about it is this fire officer's language, the jaws of life. All right? The jaws of life will be attached to these fire trucks. What do we mean by that? Is a specialized quarter to extricate people if they're trapped in a vehicular accident. Those will be attached to the fire trucks. And you'll also be able to discharge foam, and all that we're getting. And the fire chief sent me the pictures, and it's elated by them. We have an additional fire truck being manufactured, and the completion date for that manufacturing process will be on the 27th of April. That is costing $1.4 million. And we, in the first quarter of this year, in the month of February, we'll be receiving, of course, the government will be paying for 2 additional ambulances, fully customized. And later down in the year, we're looking for 2 additional fire ambulances, so that the intention is to have, at all times, a minimum of 2 ambulances in Roseau. And the same for Portsmouth and Marigot. So we are going places in the ministry and the government by extension, and addressing by way of precision what we need to do within the ministry to advance the policies of the government and to work on behalf of the people of this country. I also want to place on record that we have begun the process of working towards the decentralization of the issuance of vital life certificates. Birth certificate, death certificate, marriage certificates. There will be no need in due time for people to leave Marigot, Tran to Casibus area, or vehicles to come into Roseau to get those certificates. So we are looking at Marigot, Portsmouth, Lapland, Granby, and Casibus as centers where people will be able to go and apply for and receive those vital life certificates. I want to take this opportunity to wish everybody a happy new year within the ministry, every individual staff member, down to the cleaner, the messengers, the heads of department. Thank you for your support, and I'm hoping to see you guys. What is it? It's Friday night, tomorrow night, when we shall be having our, what do you call it again? End of the year what? End of the year celebration. Well, I understood that we'll be having most outstanding awards will be given to the most outstanding employees within the various departments had nothing to do with the selection. The only selection I had to do with is who shall be receiving the Minister's Award. All right, nobody else. But all of your stuff on the side, all I'll be doing is to give them up. So thank you for the support, and thank you to all of those of you who are supporting the event, the private sector and other places for supporting the event. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, and have a nice day. Thank you. Okay, we have this one.